Duck House. We have James Musgrave, Nancy Carroll, Ben Miller, Debbie Chazen, Simon Shepherd.
Thanks, Ben.
Simon Shepherd and Diana Vickers. So firstly, congratulations on a fantastic performance. I think we all agree it was hilarious, and my cheeks are hurting quite some. I'm going to start off by asking the first few questions, and then I'll open it out to the rest of the house. So please do have a think about any questions that you'd like to ask the cast. And if you are on Twitter, we are tweeting along tonight. So use the hashtag WOSouting, WOS outing. So first of all, guys, I think we'd like to know what kind of attracted you to the Duck House and working on the play.
Wearing a nappy.
Simon Shepherd.
57, I've never been asked to wear a nappy. Fantastic. No brainer.
It's just, I think it was a really, it was a really funny script. Speaking personally, it made me laugh a lot when I read it. And we had a couple of read-throughs of it, and it also felt like the timing was right, because there'd been a lot of anger about the expenses scandal. The play was actually written at the time of the expenses scandal, but we shied away from doing it sort of last year because people were still very, very angry about and it felt like the timing was just about right. But it's the whole thing, though, isn't it? It's all the people you're going to be in it with, and the theatre that you're going to be on at, and the producers. It's everything, isn't it?
And the director, Terry Johnson.
Terry,
Big
Tezza.
Tezza.
TJ.
But it's an interesting process, I think, when you go up for any job, you're given a script, and there are lots of elements that come into play about, I have a young family like Ben, and the logistics of whether or not you can make that work with a family, and whether the money will cover the mortgage and everything else, and all these other things. And then at some point, if it's a brilliant script, all of that sort of goes out the window, and it becomes about the play and wanting to do the play, and you think, well, I'll just make it work. I think that's how I felt when I read it, because I was doing another job at the time, and I read it, and I thought, oh God, I read the script, and I read the script, and with it I was pissing myself, and I couldn't put it down. And you just sort of think, I really want to do it. It becomes a sort of visceral reaction, and that's the best it gets, really.
Yeah.
And were any of you worried that the play would further add to the public's already kind of rubbish opinion of MPs?
No.
I wouldn't worry.
Absolutely not. At best, it will create a discussion. And the thing about the expenses is it's just bonkers, isn't it? I mean, it's, and that's what the play reflects, I think.
And I think we've been fed a lot of stuff over the last few years by this government, and really and truly by the previous government, that you become incredibly mistrustful of politicians, and you get to a point like this, as I think probably generations have over the years, where you don't know where you are with parties, with politics, with anything that you're being fed, and you need to laugh. One of the ways to deal with that is to laugh openly and come together as a community in this situation, and you need to sort of vent your frustration, and laughter is one of the really good ways, well, not the only way, but one of the ways in which to deal with the fact that it is ridiculous what's going on, and it's ongoing. It started in 2009, we're now in 2014, and stuff is coming out all the time. It's extraordinary.
But what I think is great, I mean, with the Telegraph, when they broke it, and they broke it over 3 weeks, I think, didn't they? They systematically went through front bench, shadow front bench, and it's totally party apolitical, and I think that's what Dan and Colin have done brilliantly with this play, is to show what a bonkers situation the expenses system is, and that it needs to be looked at. And I think you were a fantastic audience tonight.
You were
Really
great.
And from your reactions, it's not just about panda bear costumes and nappies and spanking. It's actually about a much bigger thing, and I think that's what Nancy said is right, is that everybody can express something by laughing.
This is a hybrid.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
have
shut
any of your opinions on the scandal changed since being involved in the play? So any opinions that you had beforehand, being in there and actually playing the parts, have they changed any way you thought about what happened and what goes on?
Yeah, I've got a lot more sympathy for MPs. Because I think it's just great. It's so cushy. It's such a great number. You know, you go to, we did our press launch of the Houses of Parliament, and it just feels like such a great
He was walking
club.
around the back area of Westminster going, really, I could do this.
Yeah. I was thinking, if you had this and there was the threat of it being taken away, that would be a big deal, and but also there was the light side of the expenses scandal had passed me by, but also the very serious side of it had as well. So, for example, I didn't know that MPs were more or less instructed when they arrived at Parliament to claim on their expenses. The official line was, we have come to, we haven't been able to do anything about your pay, but we have come to an accommodation on expenses. That's what they were told. And the second part, the really serious part of the scandal, was the property scams, which of course people are still being hauled over the coals for now. People are still going to prison for that now. And I think that the scale of the few people who were fraudulent, I hadn't really quite understood how serious what the property frauds were that they'd been doing. And in a way, the silly things in the play, the massage chairs and the duck house itself, all that sort of thing, that stuff is just the sort of froth, and there was much more, it was the property. And I think the play reflects that as well, because really the second half is about actually the more serious fraud that Robert is responsible for, which is the property. Flopping. Yeah.
And you obviously took the play on tour, UK tour beforehand. Did you find that the reaction differed from place to place? Was there a stronger reaction to certain things in different parts of the UK?
Diana Vickers.
It was such a long time ago now. I can't really remember the tour that well. Yeah, we did, though. I do remember that. I remember in some... Where were we? I think in...
Nottingham.
They absolutely roared. They loved it, and they loved all the kind of Tory jokes. And I think then when we got to, maybe... Where was it? In Cambridge, I think they were a little bit sceptical at first. They didn't really laugh. They didn't really let themselves go as much. But sort of more northern areas, Nottingham, they absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bit more uptight.
That was my favourite week, actually.
Yeah, they loved us. Definitely.
Okay, I'll look for some hands. Chairman at the back, please.
You said that the play was written at the time the scandal was actually going on. Do you think this show could have been done back then?
I think they wanted to, yeah. They wanted to, but I think there was two things really. One was that they did a lot of work on the play. There were a lot of workshops, a lot of read-throughs, and Nika, our producer, worked with them on the play a lot. And then when Terry started, because of course Terry started a while before we did, and then Terry worked, of course, as a playwright himself, and so also worked on the play. So I think there was a lot of development. If you mean, would it have been possible in terms of the climate, I'm not sure. I mean, personally, I don't think it would. I wouldn't have gone near it at the time. I wouldn't have wanted to play. Would you have wanted to play a sort of MP?
But that was what Colin Swash said, that he wanted to do it pre-election. And actually what they found was that people felt utterly betrayed.
Yeah.
I think that everybody in the country felt utterly betrayed. I think that the politicians felt hard done by and misunderstood and very oversensitive about it, because this is something that started with Thatcher. She froze MPs' salaries on the basis that they could have this system to compensate for the lack in rise. And because that was an understanding, that it was just the level of betrayal, you know, that everybody felt so upset by. And it's only at this point that we can laugh. And that's what Dan and Colin found just by talking to people. But even just before we started rehearsals in September, Nika, the producer, was still meeting MPs and wanting to discuss it within every party. And they were all quite defensive about it. And I don't think we've had many MPs in the audience.
No.
Alan Johnson came to the press night.
He did, yeah.
Did he like you? What did he
I
have to
didn't
say
speak
about
to him.
it?
I don't know.
The other night we were doing the play and Simon said, I'm sure that's Heseltine out there.
I was so excited. I did my hair extra big. At the curtain call, we decided it wasn't. But for about half an hour, it really got me through.
Yes, some poor man in the audience suddenly felt all of us looking at him.
He was about there, and we were just looking at him like that.
Yeah. It was the curtain call.
And everybody's going, no, it's not. You know, get your glasses.
Yeah.
And any more hands? It's the guy down here.
Because it's a live production, we know things can go wrong. I found that very funny. Are there any other humorous examples where things have gone wrong?
We've had so much stuff because I don't know where to start.
Can we start with this afternoon when Ben did the sponge cake, which is actually rock hard, straight into my crutch. And it was an involuntary reaction, but I did actually go, ah! Like that. And the
His
men
eyes started watering.
My eyes started watering. The men in the audience will know what that's like. And the four of us...
We've had some amazing ones. I got locked out at one point, and they couldn't get off the stage. Another time, the carpet came right up, and Nancy and I had to spend about 15 minutes fitting the carpet.
And the massage chair does take its own.
The massage chair is a mind of its own.
Well, the door wouldn't shut. We've had lots of re-slamming.
Yes, yeah.
My corset got attached to the wardrobe.
Yeah.
And when I'm trying to sneak out and be really quick, and all of a sudden it was like a bungee jump. I was just hanging for the wardrobe, and James walks in, and it's just a nightmare. I thought my corset was going to fall off at one point. I nearly dragged the wardrobe off stage.
I came onto stage to see sort of Diana going across, followed by a sort of long piece of elastic, and then after that was the wardrobe just going. And I just opened the door to the side. It was just.
And have the eggs fallen off the stage?
Yeah.
Yes, the dolls
have the egg.
A doll's rolled off. The eggs? No, I split my trousers trying to catch an egg. It was weirdly, it wasn't just like the crotch bit, it was the entire trousers just sort of split. I don't know what I was doing, but it was just to catch the egg just before it went over the edge.
When the Russian doll fell off the edge of the stage and it sat on the floor just down the stage left, and we were like, could you get the doll? And they just sat there like...
And there was a man laughing there, yeah.
Just laughing. Could you actually get the doll?
The very first
You did
performance
eventually.
I wear, when Diana's a very strong girl, and I wear padding in my nappy, which comes in and out.
Yeah.
And because one was nervous, and I realised that as I was bending over, I hadn't actually got the padding in. So I said to Diana, Di, I've not got the padding in. She went, oh, right. I said, she didn't hear this bit, not too hard. I think she thought that it meant harder. And there was no acting required.
You were bruised and battered.
And the milk didn't squirt the other night, so you performed the squirting.
Yes, we did. We had to sort of
mimed the squirting.
Yeah.
Can you show them what you did?
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You mentioned the 11% pay rise, or potential pay rise for MPs, which is fairly recent. So do you get recent topics into the script? I mean, do you ad lib?
Yes, yeah. There's
Nigella.
There's a couple of things that
Yeah,
gone
you
in.
mentioned Nigella.
Nigella's a joke, yeah.
Yeah, who was
But to be
responsible for that, Debbie?
But to be honest, all the stories keep coming round and round in the press, so we really haven't added too much at all. I think
Come
it's
back,
just
because
those
there's
two
quite
jokes.
a few good cooking at the moment that might be going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's things we've had to take out. because the libel
that's right.
side of things
Suddenly became more contentious. But the answer is that it does change. Little things get added and changed all the time, don't they? I think it's like if you make an ad lib and it works and it stays in. It's fair enough to say.
Because the writers are used to writing for sort of weekly, journalistic, but comedy shows. They're so on it, and Dan particularly will come in all the time and say, "I've got this idea. What do you think?" And we'll try it out.
There's certainly a wealth of material.
I know, it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
More hands?
Yeah.
Gentleman over in the...
You just touched on something that sort of is quite interesting. You're saying that it keeps giving. When you were parodied, did you sort of look back at some of the predecessors that have been sort of poking fun at MPs and the whole parliamentary process, things like yes Prime Minister, and new statesmen and stuff like that? I mean, did any of that sort of resonate for you when you were reading the script, or was it you just looked at the expression and took it on?
I think it's fair to say we just I mean, I can speak for myself. You just sort of approach it as a thing in it. It's almost you don't want to sort of think too much about other things and just try and...
But there's a great history of it that hopefully this will belong to. The political satire is one of the things we do really well in this country. And all of those things that you've mentioned are very much part of that history. And I think hopefully that's why the show has an audience, is because people, they like it, they respond to it.
It's quite kind.
Kind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I suppose.
Is it too kind? Do you feel you would like it to have more edge?
No, it has more edge because it's kind.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah. Any other hands? Yes, lady at the back.
As there's quite a bit of slapstick and visual stuff, do you see any chance of this touring Europe or like America again? I'm just thinking.
Well, it's funny because I do this show, Death in Paradise, and Sarah Martis, who plays the other, who's French, lives in Paris, came to see the show about 2-3 weeks ago, and she just said there's exactly the same thing going on in France at the moment, and she said, I want to take this play and I want to do a translation and I want to do it in Paris. She said you wouldn't have to change anything. She said pretty much identically the same thing is going on in...
Maison de Canard.
Yeah. La Maison de Canard. I don't know. I mean, I don't think... I think realistically, I think probably not America. I couldn't see it.
They do. It's interesting. Americans don't do political satire on stage. They have Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. The visual side of it. I mean, to be honest, that was the part that Sarah really, really liked because, of course, I said to her, it's classic English farce, and she said, I don't think so. You are the fiddle. French farce.
Yeah. And to be slightly aside, but I read somewhere that... I think that's...
Oh, hello.
I read somewhere that you played Ludmilla in another play or in a programme or something?
I, 117 years ago, did Russian and Spanish at university, and I've not used my Russian from that day to this, but in the past year, I've played 4 Russian characters, 3 of whom were called Ludmilla, 2 of whom were Ludmilla the housekeeper, and 1 of whom was Olga the prostitute. So it's all very good.
And I suppose the final question for Debbie and for James, being fairly early on in your acting careers, what's it been like to kind of work with the rest of the cast?
Diana and James.
Diana. I'm 42, but thank you so much. I love you.
You didn't hear that.
I meant Diana and James, sorry.
No, it is. It's so wonderful to work alongside you. You're so fabulous. And even James. And to do what I have to do every single night, it could be really excruciatingly painful, but it's not because Simon...
It is for Simon.
Not anything to do with you, but Simon was just so lovely, and
we
just
have
had
a laugh.
such a giggle.
We're back. We're up. Oh, it's gone. The set's
Yeah.
gone. We're up there behind that thing, looking at the audience and gossiping and getting. He looks like he's having a good time.
We can see you. We point all of you out. So it's just really so much fun working with everyone.
Yeah. I feel like I'm sort of because these guys are amazing. Just sort of learning. I feel Seb is. Well, I don't know if Seb's developing. Sounds a bit weird. But I do feel like I'm learning as the sort of production sort of goes on, just from watching these guys and working with them and stuff. Yeah. Cool.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Diana, Simon, Debbie, Ben, Nancy, and James. Thank you very much. When are you on till?
End of March.
End of March. Tell your friends. Tweet.
Yes.
I think it's _duck_show. I think.
House.
Yeah. It makes an enormous. Apparently, I don't because I Ben tweets and Diane tweets, but I don't. It makes a huge difference if people.
It does.
tweet,
Yeah.
apparently. So if you liked it,
it does. And there's Twitter's been brilliant for because so many people go on and say that they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if they didn't, they don't.
Thank you very much. Anyway.
Thank you.